Hello, I have made some door decor. This is the first one. It's called Momentary. Actually, these are not door decor, these are window decor, but they're decor nevertheless. And these ones are called Meandering. So there's two versions of it. There's one with gears and there's one with screws and bolts. So what inspired this project? Well, I was on Google and I thought about what my style is, and my style kind of seems to be stuff that looks like it's laser cut, but it's actually just 3D printed. So I just looked up a lot of like different art pieces that use laser cut designs, and then I found one that I liked that I thought was interesting. It's called a chipboard embellishment, which is actually just a fancy term of saying some decoration for cupboards or something. As I was making it, I realized, wait, instead of using this as a decoration for my bookcase, I could make it bigger and then it'd be a decoration for my door. So that's how the first design that you saw, Momentary, came to be. And then after that, I had some other designs, and as per usual, started sketching on an airplane going on a trip after I made that first design. And I was playing around with something that would use waves and like gear stuff together, and that's how the other two window decorations came to be. Okay, so I'm going to talk through the models that I made. So this is the first one. This is Momentary, which is the first door decor that I made in this little series. So a lot of this was based off the one Google image that I found online that I thought was really cool. It was supposed to be a chipboard embellishment. That's what they call it. I originally designed it to be like for my bookcase, but later when I was making it, I was like, wait, actually, I think this would be cooler on my door frame. So I just scaled it up later so that it would fit my door frame. But there's a few parts of this design I didn't really like, so I just took this. But let's replace this line thing that they have here with the coupling rod, because I like those from my first ever like big steampunk clock project. So took those, brought those back in. But then I also didn't really like this side part here. They had these little lamps that I thought maybe I could try to incorporate, so I made one, but I didn't really like the look of it, so I decided, what if I replaced it with a clock hand? So I found some clock hands online. There was one that I really liked, so I just took this clock hand here and then just made it into a 3D model and put it into this design. Yeah, so most of the gears that were the placement of those gears that were in this image I saw online, I just kind of copied, but made my own like slight modifications to it. The chain I thought was really cool, so I put that in. So that's like the one little bit more interesting thing that I did for this model, is that there's this pattern along path feature. So if you just make one chain, I could just put them on this one like arc thing, and then that would make the chain. In order to like visualize colors, this is something I use a lot. It's just the appearance feature in Fusion 360, and because I wanted to use my wood filament, I just used the wood material that they have directly in the program. So it's just easy for me to visualize, okay, I want this one to be this color, and how that contrast would look. For Momentary, I cut up the pieces using the cut feature in Bamboo Lab, so that makes life a lot easier for me, because previously I would be doing that in Fusion, so not anymore. The one thing that I printed like kind of on its own and just took out in Fusion was the chain, because the chain, if it was because it's a different, I wanted it to be in silver PLA, which is a different color than the others, and also not the same filament type. It's like the other ones are wood. I was kind of worried that it would mess up the print, so I just thought it'd be easier, and also like would save a lot of filament switching if I just printed that separately. So I took that out in Fusion and put it on its own little plate, and then everything else I just colored using the color feature in Bamboo Labs like studio editor thing, so that I use like the capabilities of my AMS in my printer to print all the different cool colors. All right, so the next two are relatively similar, but this time I knew that I wanted to do a door frame decoration. Even though I ended up not doing it, I did it on my windows, but the sizing is the same because the frame around the window and the door is the same. First drew a sketch that measured like exactly how thick my door frame is, to give myself an idea like where I wanted this to be in the real world. This one's also, I feel like, pretty straightforward. I just drew some squiggly lines based on my sketch that I had, and then also made some gears kind of based on vibes, really. Some of the ones I like recycled, I guess. During this project, I was like, maybe I should make a folder of all of like the gears I made over like my lifetime, so that I could just like copy paste them in. So some of these are like old ones. Like this one is the one from actually the one that you saw previously. It's actually the same. This one, this like
hollow gear. So then I don't have to keep making them all the time. And then now I have like a little library of a bunch of gears that I could use in the future. To combine these is just union, pretty straightforward. I feel like that's my workflow. Um, and then again, to visualize colors, I played around with the appearance feature and I decided that I wanted the waves to be black and then the gears to be also wood colors. And I kind of played around which colors I thought would go together well, in what order. I also made mirrored models for everything to make it so that I could use it on either like the right or left side of my door frames. So the next model that I made, which I am also calling Meandering, but I guess Meandering Screws. The first one, this one is called Meandering Gears. I'm great with names. They're both M's, okay? Everything's great. They also have like a feature where you can add a connector. So that's what this little nub thing is here that you see in my cut up model. I tried it for the first time this time, but I didn't really like it because I felt like it made the models, even though it's supposed to make it more aligned, I actually felt like it added space in between, like you see this part here and then the next part, the part it's supposed to connect to. And I think it's because like my printer, like it's not the perfect shape. Maybe I need to experiment with like different connector shapes, but like some of it will like have a little, it needs a little tolerance that I don't think is accounted for every time you print these. So I actually like it better when there's no connectors, but this was a good trial to see how that would work. You can paint the model as per like what filaments you want to use. So I just did that and manually colored some of it in. For the parts that are like not as easily defined, because they have a paint bucket feature that makes it super easy to paint stuff, but some of them I had to manually just like paint like with my mouse, so you can see the little crooked lines there. But yeah, just makes it a lot easier instead of me trying to figure out how to print all of these pieces individually and then try to like push them together, which is like a thing I had to do a lot for my previous projects. So really glad of the technology has really improved, I guess, like, or I have the ability to do this now that, and it's so easy for anybody to just do something like that instead of trying to have to like think about how exactly everything's going to print together. So very convenient, very easy. As you can see, the black waves are the exact same. I just thought, what if I replaced those gears with screws instead? You can actually insert McMaster car components. So what I did is I went on this website. For those who don't know, you can just import any model that they have for all of their different items, like for free, because it's supposed to be for like mechanical engineers. You know, like I'm totally into mechanical engineer. But yeah, you can just take those models and then do whatever you want with them. They import directly into Fusion. And what I did is I took the tops, only the tops of them. So you see a lot of these components here. That is actually the screw. Let's see if we can see one. Okay, so you can see how there's one here that's like, this is the bottom part of the screw. I just like scaled it up significantly and just took off the top. So that's how all these like screw tops are here. There's a few touch-ups I needed to do. Like right here, you can see I had to do a little cut so that I can keep this hexagon shape of the nail. Same with this other screw bolt thing up here. You can see I cut that. Yeah, other than that, it's also pretty straightforward. Yeah, so this was just printed pure PLA. Again, similar cuts. This time, because I knew that I didn't like the connectors, I just straight up didn't do it. So if I was doing the cuts in Fusion, I would not have stuff like this where there's like floating stuff. I would have them on their own, like individual stuff. But because I did the cuts in Bamboo, I'm like a little lazy. I don't want to like cut it or like move all the pieces individually.
So this project was the first time I ever used a filament dryer. It's not mine, it's my housemate's, but I think it's actually super worth it, so I might get one for myself sometime later in the future. It was able to revive this one filament that I had for years that someone gave to me for free that was like cracking, and then it made it like perfect again. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. But yeah, that was Momentary and Meandering. They're pretty simple designs. Just wanted to make a quick video showcasing them. Wow, cool.